In 1956, a prominent physician named Archie Cochran noticed a lump in his armpit. He went to a renowned cancer specialist who took one look, cut into the tissue, and delivered a grim verdict. Cochran's chest was riddled with cancer. He was told to go home and prepare to die. Cochran spent the next few days making his end-of-life plans. But when a pathologist finally tested the actual tissue sample in a lab, the result came back clear. There was no cancer. The eminent specialist had been wrong, based on nothing but a glance. For centuries, medicine operated on this kind of unchecked intuition. Doctors relied on what Cochran called the God complex, confidently prescribing bloodletting, mercury, and hot cup blistering without ever rigorously tracking if patients actually lived or died because of them. It took a revolution in measurement for medicine to accept that human intuition is a poor substitute for evidence. Without a system to test predictions against reality, even the most educated experts are essentially guessing. While medicine has moved on, the global forecasting industry remains in its own dark age. Billions of dollars are spent on pundits predicting wars, market crashes, and political shifts, yet their actual accuracy is rarely measured. We routinely trust elite pundits who tell compelling stories about what happens next. But these experts are almost never held to a mathematical account for their failures. To test this expertise, researcher Philip Tetlock tracked tens of thousands of professional predictions over 20 years. When he tallied the final results, he found the average expert was about as accurate as a dart-throwing chimpanzee. This failure persists because our brains crave order. We are hardwired to reward the person who provides a clear, confident story, even if that story has no actual connection to the future. We can only escape this cycle if we measure accuracy, but measurement is impossible when experts use vague language that can mean anything to anyone. In 2007, Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer claimed there was no chance the iPhone would get significant market share. Because Ballmer never defined what significant meant or provided a timeline, it is nearly impossible to mathematically prove he was wrong. This lack of precision has consequences. In 1951, a CIA estimate warned of a serious possibility of a Soviet attack on Yugoslavia. When the lead analyst polled his own team, some thought that meant an 80% chance, while others thought it was only 20. Unquantified words create an illusion of knowledge. Vague language allows pundits to hide behind the wrong side of maybe. By using terms like could or might, they can stretch the meaning of their words after an event occurs, ensuring they are never definitively proven wrong. To turn forecasting into a science, we have to strip away the adjectives. Experts must assign specific numerical probabilities and clear deadlines to every claim they make. Once predictions are quantified, we can use the Breyer score to grade them. On this scale, 0 is perfect omniscience, and 0.5 is the score you get from random guessing. The first part of a good score is calibration. This measures how often a forecaster's predicted percentages actually happen in the real world. If you say something has a 70% chance of occurring, it should happen exactly 70% of the time over the long run. The second part is resolution. This tracks how often a forecaster makes decisive calls. A skilled forecaster doesn't just sit safely at 50-50. They have the ability to correctly assign high probabilities, like 90% or 10%, to specific outcomes. Combining calibration and resolution creates a mathematical filter. It penalizes those who claim 100% certainty on a failure, while rewarding the skill required to distinguish subtle shades of probability. Philip Tetlock applied this scoring system to thousands of volunteers in a massive forecasting tournament called the Good Judgment Project. He wanted to see if anyone actually possessed real foresight. The data revealed two styles of thinking. The worst performers were the hedgehogs, confident experts who viewed every problem through one big ideological lens and ignored any evidence that didn't fit their narrative. Financial commentator Larry Kudlow embodied this trait. Throughout 2007, even as the economy began to collapse, he insisted a recession was impossible. He viewed all data through his specific ideological green-tinted glasses, making him blind to the crash. The winners were the foxes. These were pragmatic, often obscure thinkers who aggregated data from many sources. They thought in probabilities, and crucially, they updated their math as soon as new information arrived. The tournament results showed that an expert's specific ideology had almost no impact on their accuracy. Instead, foresight was determined by how they processed information, their intellectual agility, and their willingness to change their minds. These results prove that foresight is not a mystical talent or a gift. It is a measurable, learnable skill. We can protect ourselves from bad information by demanding more from the experts we follow. We should look for track records, hard probabilities, and a demonstrated willingness to update beliefs when the facts change. Improving our view of the future requires us to trade the comfort of certainty for the precision of doubt. We have to replace the God complex with the constant practice of self-correction.